The corridor was empty. Classes had ended an hour ago and most students had gone back to their rooms or to the recreation areas. Harin was walking alone, carrying her bag full of books. She had stayed late in the library trying to finish an assignment. Being alone in the library felt safer than being in her room, where she could hear other students through the walls. She heard footsteps behind her. Heavy footsteps. Her heart started beating faster. She walked quicker, but the footsteps got closer. She knew who it was before she even turned around. Thraz blocked her path. Behind him were 4 of his friends, including Vex. They spread out across the corridor so she could not run past them. Harin turned to go back the other way, but 2 more students had appeared behind her. She was trapped. Going somewhere, human? Thraz asked. His voice echoed in the empty hall. You have been avoiding us. That is not very friendly. Please, Harin said quietly. Just leave me alone. Thraz laughed. It was a terrible sound, like rocks grinding together. Leave you alone? But we are just being friendly. We want to teach you about the galaxy. You see, humans think they are so special. You think you deserve to be here with us, but you are nothing. Your whole species is nothing. You are insects that learned to build spaceships. Harin felt Vex inside her head. His thoughts slithered into her mind like cold snakes. She could feel him looking at her memories, at her fears. He was searching for the things that scared her most. Then he started showing them to her. Her mother, who had died when Harin was little. Her father dying alone in space. Images of Earth burning. Stop, Harin whispered. Tears were running down her face now. Please stop. She is crying, one of Thraz's friends said. Humans are so weak. They cry about everything. Thraz stepped closer. You know what I think? I think humans should not be allowed in schools like this. I think you should all go back to your little planet and stay there. But since you are here, someone needs to teach you your place. He pushed her. Harin stumbled backward and hit the wall. Her bag fell to the floor and her books scattered everywhere. She tried to pick herself up, but Thraz pushed her again, harder this time. She fell to her knees. Look at her, Thraz said to his friends. She cannot even stand up. This is what humans are. Weak. Pathetic. Harin tried to get up again. This time Thraz hit her. His fist connected with her side and she heard something crack. The pain was worse than anything she had ever felt. She could not breathe. She fell to the floor and curled up, trying to protect herself. Thraz kicked her. Once, twice, 3 times. Each kick sent waves of pain through her body. She heard more things crack inside her. She tasted blood in her mouth. Vex was still in her head, making sure she felt every bit of the pain, making sure she could not escape into unconsciousness. Then Vex did something worse. He started broadcasting what was happening. He sent Harin's pain and fear and humiliation out to every telepathic student in the school. Dozens of them could feel what she was feeling. They could see what was happening to her, and they did nothing. Some of them enjoyed it. Everyone can feel how weak you are now, Vex said inside her mind. Everyone knows that humans do not belong here. Maybe next time your people will think twice before trying to play with the real species. Harin could not fight back. She could barely think. Everything hurt. She just wanted it to stop. She wanted to go home. She wanted her father. Finally, Thraz stopped. I am bored now, he said. Come on, let us go. The human is not even fun anymore. They left her there on the floor. Harin did not know how long she lay there. Time felt strange. Everything felt strange. She could not move without pain shooting through her entire body. She thought maybe she should try to call for help, but she did not think anyone would come. Eventually, someone did find her. It was a janitor, one of the maintenance staff who kept the school clean. He made a sound of alarm when he saw her and immediately called for medical help. The medical bay was bright and cold. The doctors were efficient. They scanned her body and fixed her broken bones with alien technology. 3 broken ribs, a fractured arm, internal bleeding, severe bruising. They healed her body in a few hours. What would have taken weeks on Earth took only an afternoon here. but they could not heal what was broken inside her mind. Harin lay in the medical bed and stared at the ceiling. She did not speak. She did not cry. She did not react when the nurses tried to talk to her. Something inside her had shut down. It was too much. She could not take any more. The headmaster came to see her. His name was Kor, and he was a Vorath, like most of the teachers. He had been in charge of the school for many years. He stood next to her bed and looked down at her with his large eyes. "This is very unfortunate," Kor said. "Student conflicts are always difficult. We will investigate, of course, but you must understand that different species have different ways of interacting. What seems aggressive to you might be normal behavior for others. Perhaps you are simply not ready for an environment like this." Harin did not respond. She just stared at the ceiling. "We have contacted your father," Kor continued. "He is being informed of the situation. Perhaps it would be best if you transferred to a different school, one more suited to human students." After Kor left, Harin finally moved. She turned on her side and pulled her knees up to her chest. She made herself as small as possible. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to stop existing. The call from her father came later that evening. The nurse set up a screen next to Harin's bed. Captain Lee Do-hyun's face appeared. He was in his uniform. Behind him, Harin could see the bridge of his ship. "Harin," he said. His voice was calm, but she could hear something underneath it, something hard and sharp. "Harin, can you hear me?" She looked at the screen but could not speak. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. When she saw her father's face, something broke inside her. All the strength she had been using to hold herself together crumbled. She started shaking. Do-hyun leaned closer to his screen. "Who did this?" he asked quietly. "Tell me who did this to you." Harin shook her head. She could not tell him. She could not make the words come out. "It is okay," Do-hyun said. His voice was gentle now, the way it used to be when she was little and had nightmares. "You do not have to tell me right now, but Harin, I need you to listen to me. Are you listening?" She nodded slightly. "I am going to fix this," Do-hyun said. "I promise you, no one hurts my daughter. No one. Do you understand?" Harin looked at her father's face on the screen. She saw something there that she had never seen before. His eyes were cold. His jaw was tight. He looked like a different person. He looked dangerous. "Stay strong for me," Do-hyun said. "Just a little longer. Can you do that?" Harin nodded again. "Good girl," he said. "I will see you soon. Very soon." After the call ended, Harin closed her eyes. For the first time since the attack, she felt something other than fear and pain. She felt a tiny spark of hope. Her father was coming. Everything would be okay. Her father would fix it. She did not know what he was planning. She did not know that her father was about to do something that would change everything. She did not know that the galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humans. Never threaten a human's child. Harin sat alone in the corner of the cafeteria. Around her, hundreds of alien students filled the massive hall with sounds she still could not understand. They clicked, hissed, chirped, and made noises that hurt her ears. Some of them spoke without making any sound at all, using their minds to talk to each other. She was the only human in the entire school. The food on her tray looked strange. It was supposed to be safe for humans to eat, but it smelled wrong. Everything here smelled wrong. The air was too thick. The lights were too bright. Even the chairs were built for bodies that were not shaped like hers. She missed home. She missed Earth. Most of all, she missed her father. Vorath Prime Academy was the best school in this part of the galaxy. That was what everyone said. Students came here from dozens of different planets and species. It was supposed to be an honor that Harin was accepted. Humans were new to the Galactic Council. Only a few years ago, Earth had been alone in the universe. Now humans were trying to find their place among species that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Harin was 14 years old. She was smart, much smarter than most students her age. That was why she was here. The human government wanted to show that humans belonged in schools like this. They wanted to prove that humans were just as good as everyone else. But sitting alone in this cafeteria, Harin felt very small and very far from home. The bullying started on her first day. At first it was small things. Other students would not sit near her. They would move away when she came close. In class, no one would work with her on group projects. Teachers would call on everyone except her. She told herself it would get better. She told herself they just needed time to get used to having a human around. But it did not get better. It got worse. Thraz was the worst of them. He was a Korthax, which meant he was big and covered in scales like a reptile. He had sharp claws and teeth that could bite through metal. His people were warriors. They were proud and strong, and they thought humans were weak and soft. Thraz was the most popular student in school. Everyone wanted to be his friend or was too scared to be his enemy. Thraz enjoyed making Harin suffer. Today, Harin saw him coming toward her table. Her heart started beating faster. She looked down at her food and tried to make herself invisible. Maybe he would walk past her. Maybe today he would leave her alone. He did not walk past her. Thraz stopped right next to her table. His friends were with him. Vex was there too. Vex was smaller than Thraz, but in some ways he was worse. Vex was a Meldarian. His people could read minds and send thoughts into other people's heads. Harin had learned to feel when Vex was digging around in her brain. It felt like cold fingers touching the inside of her skull. "Look at the human," Thraz said loudly. His voice was deep and rough. "Eating alone again. Does your food make you sad, little human? Does it remind you that you do not belong here?" Harin did not answer. She had learned that talking back only made things worse. She kept her eyes on her tray and hoped he would get bored and leave. Thraz reached out with one clawed hand. Before Harin could move, he knocked her tray off the table. Food and liquid splashed across the floor. The crash was loud. Everyone in the cafeteria turned to look. Harin felt her face turn hot. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to be anywhere but here. "Oh no," Thraz said, but he was smiling. The human dropped her food. She must be clumsy. Humans are so weak and clumsy. Maybe she should clean it up. Harin got down on her knees. Her hands were shaking. She started picking up the pieces of her tray. She could feel everyone watching her. She could hear some of the other students laughing. She wanted to cry, but she would not let them see her cry. She would not give them that. Then Thraz stepped on her hand. The pain was sharp and terrible. His clawed foot pressed down hard on her fingers. Harin gasped and tried to pull her hand away, but he was too strong. He pressed harder. She felt something crack. The pain shot up her arm like fire. "Careful, human," Thraz said quietly. Only she could hear him now. "You are so fragile. It would be so easy to break you." He lifted his foot. Harin pulled her hand back and held it against her chest. Her fingers were already swelling. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them back. She would not cry. She would not. A teacher was standing nearby. Harin looked at him, hoping he would help. But the teacher just looked away and walked in the other direction. No one was going to help her. No one cared. The weeks that followed were worse. Thraz and his friends made Harin their favorite target. They would trip her in the hallways. They would steal her things. They would say terrible things about humans, about how weak they were, how stupid, how they did not deserve to be in the galaxy with real species. Vex was the worst in different ways. He would push thoughts into her head when she was trying to study. Terrible thoughts, scary thoughts. He would make her see things that were not there. He would broadcast her embarrassing moments to other students who could receive telepathic messages. Harin felt like she was going crazy. She could not trust her own mind anymore. She tried to report it. She went to her teachers. She went to the headmaster. They all said the same thing. Students sometimes had conflicts. Different species had different ways of interacting. Maybe Harin was too sensitive. Maybe she needed to try harder to fit in. Maybe this school was not right for her. No one said that Thraz and Vex should stop. No one said they were doing anything wrong. Harin realized that the adults did not care either. To them, she was just a human. Humans did not matter much in this galaxy. They were too new, too weak, too unimportant. Every week, Harin had a video call with her father. Captain Lee Do-hyun was far away, serving on a human warship somewhere in deep space. He had been so proud when Harin was accepted to Vorath Prime Academy. He told her this was important, not just for her, but for all of humanity. She was showing the galaxy what humans could do. Harin did not tell him about the bullying. She did not tell him about Thraz or Vex or the teachers who did nothing. She smiled during their calls. She said everything was fine. She said she was learning a lot and making friends. She lied because she did not want to disappoint him. She lied because she did not want him to worry. She lied because she thought she could handle it. But every day it got harder. Every day she felt herself breaking a little more. She stopped sleeping well. She stopped eating. She started to think that maybe everyone was right. Maybe humans did not belong here. Maybe she should just give up and go home. Harin did not know that things were about to get much worse. She did not know that Thraz was getting bolder. She did not know that soon everything would change. And she definitely did not know what her father would do when he finally learned the truth. Do-hyun sat alone in his quarters. The door was locked. The lights were dim. In front of him on his desk was a bottle of Earth whiskey and a photograph. The photograph showed him and Harin from 2 years ago. She was smiling, holding up a certificate from her school. She had won first place in a science competition. She looked so happy, so proud, so full of hope. He thought about the girl he had seen in the medical bay, the one who could not speak, who flinched at every sound, who looked like she wanted to disappear. That was not the same girl from the photograph. Something had been taken from her. Something precious had been broken. Do-hyun poured himself a drink. He thought about his options. He could transfer Harin out of the academy. He could take her home to Earth. He could let her recover somewhere safe. That was the smart choice. The safe choice. The choice that would not end his career or cause an interstellar incident. But what message would that send? It would tell the galaxy that humans could be hurt without consequences. It would tell them that human children did not matter. It would tell every alien who looked down on humanity that they were right to do so. More importantly, what would it tell Harin? That she had to run away, that she was too weak, that the bullies won. She would carry that with her forever. She would always know that no one had stood up for her, that not even her own father had made them pay for what they did. Do-hyun drank and thought. He thought about the cost. If he did what he was planning, his military career would be over. He might face court-martial. He might go to prison. The human government would have to condemn his actions publicly, even if they approved privately. He would lose everything he had built, but he would have his daughter back. The real Harin, the one who knew her father would always protect her, the one who knew that being human did not mean being helpless. That was worth any price. He finished his drink and stood up. His decision was made. Now he had to tell his crew. The next morning, Do-hyun called a meeting of all senior officers. Commander Park Ji-woo was there. So was Lieutenant Kang Yuna, the communications officer. The chief engineer, weapons officer, and medical officer all attended. These were the people who would need to know what was coming. Do-hyun stood at the head of the table. He looked at each of them. These people had served with him for years. Some of them had saved his life. He had saved theirs. They were more than crew. They were family. You all know what happened to my daughter, he began. You know that I have tried every official channel to get justice. And you know that those channels have failed. The school will not punish the students who hurt her. The Galactic Council will not intervene. Even our own government tells me to be patient and think about politics, he paused. The room was silent. Everyone was watching him. I am done being patient, Do-hyun continued. I am going to Vorath 7. I am going to get my daughter. And I am going to send a message to every species in this galaxy. A message they will never forget. Ji-woo leaned forward. What kind of message, sir? The kind that requires landing a warship on a school roof, Do-hyun said calmly. The room erupted. Officers spoke over each other. Some were shocked. Some were excited. Yuna looked worried. Sir, the weapons officer said, that would be an act of war. The Vorath would have every right to fire on us. That they will not fire, Do-hyun said. They know what this ship can do. They know what human weapons can do. We proved ourselves in the border wars, they remember. They will not risk a fight they might lose. But the consequences, Yuna said. Captain, this could cause a diplomatic crisis. You could be court-martialed. We all could. Yes, Do-hyun agreed. You could. That is why I am giving all of you a choice. Anyone who wants to transfer off this ship has 24 hours to request reassignment. I will approve every request, no questions asked. I will make sure your records show that you had no knowledge of my plans. He looked at each of them again. But if you stay, you are with me all the way. You will follow my orders even if they go against regulations, even if they end your careers. You need to understand what you are agreeing to. The room was quiet. Do-hyun waited. He would not blame anyone who chose to leave. This was his fight. His decision. He had no right to drag them down with him. Ji-woo stood up. Sir, with respect, you are not giving us much of a choice. Do-hyun nodded. I know. That is why I am offering transfers. No, sir, you misunderstand. Ji-woo smiled slightly. You are not giving us a choice because there is only one correct answer. Harin is one of us. She is human. When you hurt one human, you hurt all of us. That is what we have been telling the galaxy since we left Earth. That is what we proved in the wars. We do not abandon our own? The other officers nodded. The weapons officer spoke up. My daughter is 10 years old, sir. She looks up to Harin. She talks about going to a galactic school someday. If we do not stand up for Harin now, what message does that send to my daughter? That she does not matter? That she should accept whatever aliens do to her? Yuna stood as well. I will make sure every channel is ready, sir. When we arrive at Vorath 7, the whole galaxy will know why we are there. One by one, every officer in the room stood. They were with him. All of them. Do-hyun felt something warm in his chest. Pride. Gratitude. These people understood what mattered. Thank you, he said quietly. All of you. Now let us get to work. Ji-woo, plot a course for Vorath 7, maximum speed. I want to be there in 1 week. Already done, sir, Ji-woo said with a grin. I calculated the course last night. I figured you would make this decision. Weapons officer, I want all systems checked and ready. We will not fire on anyone, but they need to see that we could if we wanted to. Yes, sir. Missiles, railguns, and point defense will be fully operational. Yuna. Contact Harin through a secure channel. Tell her I am coming. Tell her to hold on just a little longer. Can you do that without the school knowing? Yes, sir. I can route it through civilian networks. They will never know. Over the next week, the Indomitable traveled through space at its maximum speed. The crew worked constantly. Every system was checked 3 times. The ship had never been in better condition. They were ready for anything. Yuna managed to get a message to Harin. The girl had moved back to her room in the academy, but she rarely left it. She attended classes through video. She ate meals alone. The other students avoided her now. They thought she was broken, weak, not worth their time. But when Harin received the message from her father, something changed. The medical staff noticed she was eating more. She was sleeping better. There was a light in her eyes that had not been there before. She was waiting. She knew her father was coming. She knew everything would be okay. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Do-hyun watched the stars. They were getting close now. Another day and they would reach Vorath 7. He thought about what would happen when they arrived. The Vorath military would try to stop them. There would be threats and warnings. There might even be weapons pointed at his ship, but Do-hyun was not afraid. He had been in battles before. He had faced death. This was different. This was not about survival or territory or politics. This was about family. This was about showing the galaxy what humans truly were. The Indomitable flew on through the darkness. Inside, 300 crew members prepared for what was coming. And on a floating school above a crystal ocean, one scared girl waited for her father to keep his promise. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. The Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Vorath 7 system. Immediately, alarms started going off on every ship and station in the area. An unknown military vessel had just appeared. Defense protocols activated automatically. Unidentified vessel, this is Vorath System Control, a voice said over the communications channel. Identify yourself immediately and state your purpose. Yuna looked at Do-hyun. He nodded. She opened a channel. This is Captain Lee Do-hyun of the Human Defense Fleet vessel Indomitable. Do-hyun said calmly, I am here to retrieve my daughter from Vorath Prime Academy. There was a pause. Then the voice came back, more urgent now. Captain Lee, you do not have authorization to enter this system. Please hold your position while we process your request. Request acknowledged, Do-hyun said. Proceeding to Vorath 7, the Indomitable's engines flared. The ship moved forward, accelerating toward the planet. Captain Lee, you are ordered to hold position. If you continue, we will consider this a hostile act. Do-hyun did not respond. On the tactical display, he could see Vorath defense ships moving to intercept. 3 destroyers and a cruiser. Normally, that would be a serious threat. But everyone in the galaxy knew about human warships. They had seen what these vessels could do during the border wars. The Vorath ships moved into position but kept their distance. They were trying to look threatening, but Do-hyun could see the hesitation. They did not want to start a fight. They were hoping he would back down. He was not going to back down. At Vorath Prime Academy, alarms were sounding. Students and teachers rushed to windows to see what was happening. In the sky above them, a human warship was descending. It was huge, larger than anything that had ever approached the academy. Its hull was dark gray, covered in armor plating and weapon ports. It looked dangerous. It looked unstoppable. Headmaster Kor was in his office shouting into a communicator. "What do you mean you cannot stop it?"
"Shoot it down!"
"That is what defense ships are for." "Sir, we cannot," the defense commander replied. "If we fire on a human military vessel, it would be an act of war. And if we miss, if we only damage it, they will fire back. Our ships cannot win that fight." Then call for reinforcements. Contact the council. Do something. Reinforcements will take hours. The ship will be there in minutes. The Indomitable descended through the atmosphere. Its shields glowed from the friction. Students watched in awe and fear as the massive vessel approached their school. Some of them had never seen a human warship before. They had heard stories, but stories were different from reality. This thing flying toward them was real. It was powerful. It was terrifying. Harin stood at her window watching. She knew that ship. She had seen pictures of it. Her father commanded that vessel. He had kept his promise. He was here. Tears ran down her face, but for the first time in weeks they were not tears of fear. They were tears of relief, of joy, of hope. Her father had come for her. He had crossed the galaxy. He had defied orders and laws and diplomatic protocols. He had brought his warship because nothing was more important than getting her back. The Academy's shields activated, but they were designed to protect against weather and accidents. They would do nothing against a military vessel if it decided to attack. Everyone knew it. The shields were just for show. The Indomitable stopped descending. It hovered directly over the Academy's main building. Its bulk cast a shadow over the entire complex. Then slowly and carefully it began to lower itself onto the roof. The building groaned under the weight. Metal creaked. But the Vorath built their structures strong. The roof held. Landing struts extended from the ship's underside, distributing the weight. With a final thud that shook the entire Academy, the Indomitable settled into place. A human warship sat on top of the school. It was impossible. It was insane. But it was real. On the bridge, Do-hyun stood up. "Ji-woo, you have command. Keep the engines ready. We may need to leave quickly." "Yes, sir. Good luck." Do-hyun walked to the airlock. Waiting there were Ji-woo and 4 security officers. They were armed, but their weapons were holstered. This was not an invasion. This was a father getting his daughter. The airlock opened. A ramp extended down into the academy. Do-hyun walked down first. Behind him came his team. They entered the building through a maintenance access that led to the roof. Inside, students pressed against the walls as the humans walked past. These aliens had spent months looking down on Harin. They had thought humans were weak and unimportant. Now they saw human soldiers walking through their school with the confidence of people who knew they could not be stopped. Do-hyun knew where Harin's room was. He had memorized the layout of the academy. He walked through the corridors without hesitation. Teachers tried to stop him, but one look at his face made them step aside. This man was not here to negotiate. He was here to take his daughter home, and nothing would stop him. They reached Harin's room. Do-hyun knocked on the door. It opened immediately. Harin stood there, her bag already packed. She looked up at her father, and all the strength she had been using to hold herself together crumbled. "Dad," she whispered. Do-hyun knelt down and opened his arms. Harin ran to him. She buried her face in his shoulder and started crying. He held her tight, feeling how thin she had become, how fragile. His daughter. His precious daughter. What had they done to her? "I have got you," he said softly. "You are safe now. I'm taking you home." They walked back through the corridors. Do-hyun carried Harin's bag in one hand and held her close with his other arm. She did not let go of him. She could not. She was afraid that if she let go, this would all be a dream and she would wake up alone again. They turned a corner and found Thraz blocking the hallway. The big Korthax had been walking to his room when he saw them. He froze. For the first time in his life, Thraz felt genuine fear. Do-hyun stopped. He looked at Thraz for a long moment. Harin felt her father's body tense. She pulled back slightly and looked up at his face. What she saw there scared her a little. Her father looked calm, but his eyes were cold. Very cold. You are Thraz, Do-hyun said quietly. It was not a question. Thraz could not speak. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. This human was smaller than him. Not as strong. But Thraz suddenly understood that size and strength did not matter. This human had crossed the galaxy and landed a warship on a school to get his daughter back. What would he do to someone who had hurt her? My daughter is more forgiving than I am, Do-hyun said. His voice was soft, but somehow that made it more frightening. She asked me not to hurt you, so I will not. But if you ever come near her again, if you ever touch another human child, I will find you. I do not care where you are. I do not care who your family is. I will find you and you will learn what humans do to people who hurt our children. Do you understand? Thraz nodded. He could not speak. He had never been this scared in his life. Do-hyun walked past him. The security officers followed. One of them looked back at Thraz and smiled. It was not a friendly smile. They returned to the ship. Harin held her father's hand as they walked up the ramp. The crew was waiting inside. When they saw Harin, they smiled. Some of them saluted. Others just nodded. They were glad she was safe. They were glad their captain's daughter was home. Do-hyun took Harin to his quarters. She sat on his bed while he contacted the bridge. Jiwoo, we have her. Take us up. The Indomitable's engines roared. The ship lifted off the academy roof, leaving bent metal and broken tiles behind. It climbed into the sky, past the defense ships that did nothing to stop it. It broke through the atmosphere and accelerated toward the edge of the system. Behind them, on Vorath 7, chaos erupted. The news spread across the planet, then across the system, then across the galaxy. A human captain had landed a warship on a school and taken his daughter. No shots were fired. No one was hurt. But the message was clear and impossible to ignore. Humans protected their own. Always, no matter the cost. No matter the consequences. Hurt a human child and you would answer to human parents. And human parents, the galaxy now understood, were not to be crossed. The Galactic Council called emergency meetings. Some species demanded Do-hyun be arrested. Others quietly started reviewing how human students were treated in their schools. The human government publicly condemned the action while privately doing nothing to stop Do-hyun from returning home. Vorath. Prime Academy expelled Thraz. His family was too embarrassed by the galactic attention to protect him. New rules were implemented. Better supervision. Zero tolerance for bullying. It was too late for Harin, but maybe it would help the next human student. On the Indomitable, as it traveled through space toward Earth, Harin sat with her father in his quarters. She was drinking hot chocolate that the crew had made for her. She felt safe for the first time in months. Will you get in trouble? She asked quietly. Do-hyun smiled. Probably. But it does not matter. You are safe. That is all that matters. I am sorry, Harin said. I should have told you sooner. I should have asked for help. No, Do-hyun said firmly. You have nothing to be sorry for. You did nothing wrong. They hurt you. That is on them, not you. Harin leaned against her father. He put his arm around her. They sat together in silence, watching the stars pass by through the window. Captain Lee Do-hyun stood in his quarters aboard the Indomitable. His ship was a Hunter-class destroyer, one of the newest vessels in the human defense fleet. Right now, it was on patrol duty 3 weeks away from Vorath 7 at faster-than-light speed. 3 weeks was too long, but Do-hyun was a military officer. He knew he had to follow proper procedures first. He started with official channels. He filed a formal complaint with the Vorath Prime Academy administration. He sent reports to the human embassy on Vorath 7. He contacted the Galactic Council's Education Oversight Committee. He wrote everything down carefully, including medical records and witness statements. The responses came back slowly. Each one was the same. They were very sorry this had happened. They would investigate. Student conflicts were internal matters. The school had procedures. Everything would be handled appropriately. Please be patient. Do-hyun was not patient. He requested emergency leave and approval to travel to Vorath 7. His request was denied. His ship was needed on patrol. There were tensions in this sector. He could not be spared. He contacted the human ambassador to the Galactic Council. Ambassador Chen was sympathetic but realistic. Humans were new to galactic politics.
They had to be careful.
They could not afford to make enemies. The Korthax were a powerful species. Thraz's family had influence. If humans pushed too hard on this, it could damage Earth's standing in the Council. Your daughter's situation is terrible, Ambassador Chen told him over a secure channel. But we have to think about the bigger picture. Millions of humans are living on alien worlds now. We cannot risk their safety over one incident. Do-hyun's hand tightened around his desk. One incident, he repeated quietly. My daughter was beaten until her ribs broke. That is not just an incident. I understand your anger, Chen said, but we have to work within the system. Give it time. Justice will come, Do-hyun ended the call. He did not believe justice would come. Not from the system. The system did not care about one human girl. 2 weeks passed. Do-hyun kept filing reports and making calls. He barely slept. His crew noticed the change in him. Commander Park Ji-woo had served with Do-hyun for 15 years. They had fought together in the border wars when humanity was first expanding into space and met hostile species. Ji-woo knew his captain better than anyone. Sir, Ji-woo said one evening, entering Do-hyun's quarters, you need to rest. You are pushing yourself too hard. Have you heard anything from Vorath 7? Do-hyun asked, not looking up from his computer. The school sent another message. They say they are still investigating. They say these things take time. Do-hyun laughed, but there was no humor in it. Time, they want me to give them time. My daughter is afraid to leave her room. She barely speaks, but they need more time. Ji-woo was quiet for a moment. What are you planning, sir? Planning? I am following proper procedures, Commander. That is what everyone wants me to do. With respect, sir, I have known you for a long time. I can see it in your eyes. You are done with procedures. Do-hyun finally looked up. They hurt my daughter, Ji-woo. They broke her bones and her spirit. And no one cares. The school does not care. The council does not care. Even our own government tells me to be patient and think about the bigger picture. He stood up. But she is my daughter. She is my world. There is no bigger picture than that. Finally, Do-hyun received approval to meet with Headmaster Kor in person. It took 3 weeks of requests and diplomatic pressure. Do-hyun took a shuttle to Vorath 7, leaving his ship under Ji-woo's command. The academy was beautiful. It floated above an ocean that sparkled like crystals. The buildings were made of materials that seemed to glow from within. It looked like paradise. Do-hyun hated it. His daughter had been tortured in this paradise, and no one had protected her. Headmaster Kor met him in a large office with windows that showed the ocean below. Kor was tall and thin, with smooth gray skin and large dark eyes. He moved gracefully like he was floating. He offered Do-hyun a seat. Captain Lee, Kor said, I am glad we could finally meet face to face. This situation with your daughter is most unfortunate. Unfortunate, Do-hyun repeated. He stayed standing. That is an interesting word for what happened. Yes, well, student conflicts are always difficult. We have been investigating, of course, but you must understand the complexities involved. I understand that a student named Thraz attacked my daughter. I understand that he broke her ribs and her arm. I understand that other students watched and did nothing. What is complex about that? Kor sighed. Captain, you are human. You come from a young species. You do not yet understand the nuances of galactic culture. The Korthax are a warrior people. Physical contact is part of how they communicate. What seems like violence to you might be normal interaction for them. Do-hyun felt something cold settle in his chest. Are you telling me that breaking a child's bones is acceptable? I am saying that different species have different standards. Your daughter is very fragile compared to Korthax students. Perhaps she is simply not suited for an environment like this. So it is her fault, Do-hyun said quietly. She is too weak. Too human. That is not what I am saying. But we must be realistic. This academy has standards. It is designed for students who can handle the rigors of interstellar education. Perhaps your daughter would be happier at a human school. What about Thraz? What consequences will he face? Kor looked uncomfortable. That is complicated. His family is very influential. And again, in Korthax culture, his behavior was not inappropriate. To punish him would be culturally insensitive. The Galactic Council is very strict about respecting cultural differences. Do-hyun stared at the headmaster. He understood now. There would be no justice from this place. They had already decided that Harin did not matter. She was just one human. Thraz was Korthax. His family had power. That was all that mattered. Is there anything else, Captain? Kor asked. I have another meeting soon. Do-hyun looked out the window at the beautiful ocean below. He thought about his daughter, terrified and broken. He thought about all the proper procedures he had followed, all the official channels that had led nowhere. He thought about what Ambassador Chen had said about the bigger picture. Then he thought about what his old commander had told him during the border wars. Sometimes, when the system fails, you have to make your own justice. Sometimes you have to send a message that cannot be ignored. No, Do-hyun said finally. There is nothing else. Thank you for your time, Headmaster. He left the office. He left the beautiful academy. He returned to his shuttle and flew back to his ship. And as he sat in the pilot's seat looking at the stars, Captain Lee Do-hyun made a decision. The time for diplomacy was over.